Hi, this week in What's on My Mind, I'm thinking about allies and privilege. And some of you might have seen this week the controversy over Black Girls Rock. It's a BET show that's intent on showing positive images of black women rather than the more controlling images such as a Jezebel or a Mammy or some of the stereotypical pictures that you see of black women in the media. And there's been some backlash because people have said, well, if this were white girls rock, that would be racist. And so why should we have black girls rock? And at first I was exhausted because this is the same old that we've often heard that when we try to uplift and show positive images of other racial groups feel like, oh, well, that's taking away from them. And in this particular instance, it's white saying, well, we should be able to have a white girls rock or a white history month, right? You've often heard that. And what I want to just talk about is context here. So one of the things I've done on college campuses is work with students of color. And I often have students who ask, well, why should we have a Black student union or an Asian students association? Isn't that dividing us rather than bringing us together? And what I would encourage everyone to think about is that we all have places where we default to, where we feel like we can land and don't have to explain ourselves or describe why we're doing what we're doing. And in that way, when we think about college campuses, there's a Black student union because most of the campus is predominantly white, for example. And so some Black students, not all, want a place where they don't have to explain how they do their hair or why they do what they do. Same with the Muslim Student Association. They want to be able to celebrate Ramadan rather than be the explainers and teachers of it. And I think we have to respect that. And so what it takes is us realizing that in some ways we have privilege when our group is the norm. And it's not taking away from us when another group has something to lift themselves up. So this week I'd encourage you to think about what ways do you have privilege that it's like you're just a fish in water. And you don't have to think about all the things you take for granted. So the one for me that I often think about is sexual orientation. I don't have to think about same-sex partner benefits and if my job provides them for my partner. I live in a state where you can still be fired from your job for being LGBT. And that is a privilege that I don't wake up thinking about every day. And so if I have fellow LGBT folks who want to have a gay pride parade or some event to uplift who they are, that in no way takes away from who I am. And that brings me to my last thought is allies. There was a woman who wrote about this piece in Huffington Post, or wrote about the Black Girls Rock, basically a white woman saying all that she feels is important for us to remember. And it's much of what I just said, but from a white woman to say, you guys chill out. We have enough things that focus on white folks. So for us to have Black Girls Rock is not to take away from white people. And the reason I bring that up is because allyship is a beautiful thing. I felt exhausted when I read the articles that were criticizing Black Girls Rock in the Twitter feed. And I felt uplifted when I didn't have to say anything. I could simply just share and click this article written by a white woman. And it's a beautiful example of how we can support each other. And we don't have to necessarily be from a certain identity group to support and uplift.